Hey guys, so I found a nice quiet place on the river to sit and talk some shit. Now I've made a video previously when I was in Vietnam on these topics and about the attitude of some of the tourists that are visiting here. Now what I noticed in Laos especially is there are many Chinese tourists. There's some now, chilling out, smoking. And the typical attitude of the Western tourists to the Chinese is they're annoyed. And I even took some pictures of very sourpuss looking faces, you know, when they're surrounded by big groups of Chinese people. Chinese people don't often travel alone, but there are some solo Chinese travelers as well popping up, some young girls and guys too, which I hung out with different perspectives and stuff. But I think the majority would still be kind of the older Chinese groups, and I think the Chinese tourists here are blessed, and they're here to have a good time, enjoy life. They're probably Chinese over here as well, or maybe some locals enjoying the river up there. So yeah, I found the Chinese tourists quite fun. Even when I was visiting the waterfall in Luang Prabang, was a moment where I was swimming, and you know, in the heat of the moment, I decided to like splash one of the Westerner girls with water for some fun, and she kind of just gave me this look like, "What are you doing?" Like, well, I mean, we're swimming. But anyway, as soon as that happened, this old Chinese guy started splashing the fuck out of me, and maybe got into like this massive splash fight with him. So Chinese tourists are great, in my opinion. I'm sure they've got bad habits as well. They're definitely probably more. I've seen a few of them sitting in the massage parlors outside in Van Dien, which is where I am at right now. They're probably not too good with you know, throwing stuff on the floor. And I guess they're smoking a lot, so probably chucking their cigarettes everywhere. I'm sure there's like good and bad with everyone though. But just the disgust that Westerners have against them is disgusting me. But it's kind of expected. Because like I mentioned in the video I did about Vietnam, the Westerners would come here. What they like is that they can look down on everyone. And that they are surrounded by quaint little huts, as opposed to proper buildings which the locals want to live in. The locals don't want to live in huts their whole life. And certainly there's good parts about the kind of farm life, you know, being self-reliant, having a home, a backyard full of like chickens and pork and like cows roaming around. There's definitely a benefit to that, but I don't think anyone desires to live outside in a tin shed. They want a proper house, like these ones, like they're building now, which is the future for this country. I caught a high-speed rail train to here. And before that high-speed rail train, to go from Luang Prabang to Van Dien, you would pretty much have to ride in a shitty, crappy old van for about 8 hours on the worst roads you can imagine. At least the worst roads. Second maybe to Ukraine, to some roads I had in Ukraine. They've been horrible. And actually fell down as well on the bike riding here. I had a little bit of a run-in with one of the potholes here. But even then, I think the roads will improve, you know, one day. But the high-speed rail was built by the Chinese, and I don't know the exact kind of deal that they have, but I guess they prioritized the Chinese tourists to get a ticket here, and all the Westerners were pissed off. And I'm like, if we were out, hey guys, how are you? Oh, can I record you? It's okay, you're not shy? Alright, I'll try not to. Alright, this kid's going for a swim now. So yeah, like without the high-speed rail train, you wouldn't have any option at all. So why are you bitching that you have to book a few days in advance to get a ticket? Then you wouldn't have that option if the Chinese didn't build anything here. Hello. What are you doing over there? Hello, how are you? Sabadi. Oh, you're the kids that jumped in the river before. You jump off a bridge? No? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So I saw some kids jump off the bridge. You jump off the bridge? Oh no. There's this crazy bridge all the way up there. And the kids basically jumped off it. That's like what also one of the worst bridges I've ever seen. And they jumped in the river from there. I don't know if I can do it because I'm a bit too heavy, but the kids seem to be having a good time with it. There you have a kind of the local moment you can experience if you just hang around here. That was great, by the way. I love it here. It's so nice. But yeah, even I love it, but I want them to get like a good bridge. I want them to have good houses here. Whereas the kind of attitude I get from Westerners, again, same as in Vietnam, same as in other places, they kind of like look down on Thailand. Even when Thailand has probably the most tourism out of all the places, they sort of like poo-poo Thailand because it's more developed now. And they don't want Lao to go the same way. And it just made me think like how entrenched, I never believed that whole like entrenched racism thing that comes from the left. But the more I travel around, the more I talk to kind of Westerners, just the kind of hatred they have for the Chinese, for Russians, for basically anyone that isn't Western European, and the supremacist attitude they have to the locals. They just because you currently have more money than anyone here, that it makes you a better human than them, and it honestly doesn't. Looking at all the things they do in the world, as far as the collective society goes, I'd say the people in Laos, the people basically almost anywhere else, are more decent human beings as a whole compared to Western Europe. Pretty much anywhere in Western Europe right now, maybe exception of Hungary and maybe a couple more other places. Ireland's not bad. Ireland's taking a stance against what's going on in Israel, but they're still pretty much on board with the war in Ukraine, I think, more or less on board with the EU. So yeah, it's there is definitely this entrenched racism that Western people have, and us countries like Laos, us countries like India, more Indians starting to travel as well. There was only like a handful I saw. There was only a handful of Russians here too. Most people, the majority of the tourists were Chinese here, and Westerners, Dutch and French people here. So as these countries bring themselves out, as they start to like travel more, experience other cultures, and start enjoying their life, like the Western people have had the chance to do for so long, mostly due to colonialism and stealing land, like in Australia, just taking the land and killing all the people there, and somehow thinking that because they they got to the land before someone else did, that they're better than other people. Yeah, so due to that fact, the Westerners were the ones who were traveling around. Even Laos was a former French colony before, so. But that's slowly dying down. And as time goes on, we're going to have more Chinese tourists there. I think that's a big group of Chinese tourists when kayaking. Just walking around, I don't know if you can see. I'll zoom in a little bit. Ni hao. You're going to have more Indian people traveling around the world into different countries, and all people have different cultures, like Indians are a little bit stingy. I've seen them arguing over one baht in a 7-Eleven before, but that's just their kind of like their style. And I think as time goes on and more people go traveling as well, they'll kind of get into the traveling vibe and pick up on exactly how to travel around. And I think definitely solo traveling is something the Chinese aren't comfortable doing yet, but I think in the future that will also come, and I don't think the Western people are gonna like that at all. we're not gonna be too happy about it, which is very interesting to see. What else can I say about, I guess, where I am? Vang Vian is a pretty loose place, if you're still listening. Definitely have like drugs running around here, and in some of the bars they have like a drug menu that they flip over to you. I know that's not part of the typical Lao culture, but I think this place started up, if you read the history about it, with all the tubing and stuff. So there's a remnant of that left over here, and I think they turn a blind eye because a bit of corruption. Maybe the police. I heard the police owns a couple of bars around here. So that stuff goes on here as well. Bit of prostitution around here as well. You know, not to the levels of say Pattaya, but you know, it's fair. It's massage parlors here. But there's also a lot of like cool shit to do, even if you're not into that kind of thing. Even if you're not into partying. Even just going down the river in the tube is fun if you're not getting wasted as you go down. You can take a kayak. I guess that's a bit more kind of serene. You can get a hot air balloon. They've got some of the cheapest rides, hot air balloon rides. Now, I'll give you a traveling tip. There are 2 companies to do hot air ballooning in Vang Vieng. One is above Lao, which is ideally the one you want to get. Now, the other company is okay, but they won't give you the full experience. What you want to do is really book with above Lao. They have a limited amount of people. They have a limited amount of people in the balloon. And they take you to a more scenic part. So they take you really deep into the mountains, whereas the other company takes you more like above the town. It's a quicker ride. They take about 30 minutes. Above Lao does about 50 minutes to an hour, depending on the conditions. So I recommend you got to book it in advance. Even maybe look at booking it maybe a week in advance, just to be safe. Now I don't like to arrange anything when I'm traveling around, so I missed out, but you shouldn't miss out if you have the opportunity. I went with the other company, and the other company is fine for the experience, but try to book with the above Lao company. As for tubing, it doesn't really matter. When you go tubing, the good time to go, I went around 1. You can even start at like 12 p.m. But 1 is a good time to go. 1 p.m. is a good time to go. That's when most of the groups go out. So if you're going out by yourself, you can attach yourself to a group as well, or you can just like meet people along the way, or even the people you meet in the bus. I think I basically stuck with the people I met in the bus, in the tuk-tuk that took us to the tubing place. It was great. It was great fun. I think it's quite safe, but yeah, just don't get too fucked up on anything as you go. Tomorrow I'm gonna head off to Vientiane, the capital, and then back into Thailand and into Bangkok to catch up with a friend. I hope you enjoyed this kind of like impromptu video. Maybe I can say some stuff about Trump. Or maybe next time. Maybe I'll make another video about Trump. Maybe when I reach Thailand, I'll do that. I hope you enjoyed this like nice little video from me, and all the best, guys. I'll see you around.